Hello, and thank you for joining us. I am Lisa Taylor, Dean of Year 12, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our information session. This recording has been designed to offer you key information on Year 12, with in-depth explanation on the ATAR and access pathways, as well as information on careers, mental health strategies, and events across the year. You will, on the next slide, find a breakdown of all content, as you can skip and access what is relevant to you. As always, please get in touch with concerns or queries you may have at any stage. My door is always open. Our Year 12s, your daughters, have got off to a fabulous start, and I'm looking forward to the year ahead. Thank you for joining us.
This year is a Jubilee year. In the Catholic Church, a Jubilee or Holy Year is a special year of forgiveness and reconciliation, in which people are invited to come back into right relationship with God, with one another, and with all of creation. A Jubilee year is celebrated by the Church every 25 years. And our current Jubilee year began on Christmas Eve. Its theme is Pilgrims of Hope. Pope Francis has invited Catholics to renew our hope and discover a vision that can restore access to the fruits of the earth to everyone. We are also invited to rediscover a spirituality of God's creation, in which we understand ourselves as pilgrims on the earth rather than masters of the world. We begin with a prayer of hope written for school communities in this Jubilee year. God, our loving Father, in this Jubilee year, you remind us of our call to love creation. Help us to work together to replant, repair, and renew. Jesus, our light, in this Jubilee year, you remind us of our call to love our neighbours and to set free those who suffer. Help us to treat everyone with dignity, to be fair, forgiving, and kind. Holy Spirit, our inspiration, in this Jubilee year, you remind us of our call to grow in faith and love. Help us to hear you in Scripture, to see Jesus in others, and to be united as God's global family. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. This year, our mercy value is compassion. Compassion was central to the ministry of Jesus, who exemplified it in the many ways he was moved with compassion in response to people who were suffering. Compassion is more than a feeling, although it includes feelings and emotions. It also involves an effective response by which we do something to alleviate or remedy suffering. At Santa Maria College, we act with empathy to care for others with open hearts and minds.
Good evening, parents. It is my pleasure to continue as Acting Deputy Principal of Teaching and Learning for 2025. I look forward to working in partnership with you in this pivotal year in your daughter's life. I'd like to take a moment to introduce two important academic documents that will guide teaching and learning this year. The first is the 10 Habits for Learning Excellence. This document serves as a blueprint for academic success by outlining the key habits of excellent learners. In Year 12, our focus is on self-reflection of all of these habits. Your daughter will have a chance to reflect on which of these habits are strengths and weaknesses and how small changes in key areas can have a really positive effect on her learning and her life. The second document is Tips to Getting the Best Out of AI. Throughout 2024, we dedicated significant effort to equipping staff and students with the knowledge and resources to navigate the complex yet exciting world of AI. Our staff have engaged in professional learning to integrate AI into teaching and learning in ways that enhance rather than replace the human aspects of education. As AI continues to evolve, we want students to approach it with confidence and responsibility. The best framework, B for balance, E for empowerment, S for safety, and T for transparency, offers clear guidelines for using AI effectively. This document, along with supporting linked resources, is available via the AI tile on Students Sector homepage. If you're interested in learning more about the college's strategic approach to AI, I encourage you to read the blog post linked in the comments below. The final reward for all of the hard work this year will be the achievement of the WACE. This is the secondary certificate received from SCASA. The requirements listed in this slide apply to all Year 12 students in WA. WACE criteria is something that we monitor closely. However, if you have any concerns about your daughter's WACE eligibility, please let us know as soon as possible. Many of our students gain credit towards their WACE through the completion of an endorsed unit. These are programs that they participate in addition to their studies. Endorsed units are also listed on the final statement of results and are a great way for your daughter to demonstrate commitment to community and learning beyond school, which can be useful with scholarships and job applications in the future. If your daughter is involved in any of the programs listed here, then I encourage her to speak to Mrs. Marianne Hughes to gain credit for an endorsed unit. There are many more avenues to university these days. The direct entry pathway uses a student's ATAR, with many courses having an ATAR of 70 to 80 as a minimum requirement. These days, some unis are also offering an early offer option to particular courses. These open around early June, and while some are non-conditional, most require students to achieve a minimum ATAR and pass prerequisite ATAR courses. Students on the Access pathway are able to apply for alternate entry to university using their Certificate 4 or Enabling program, both of which gives the equivalent of an ATAR of 70. They may also need to complete a Stat English test prior to starting uni if they did not pass the ATAR English course or receive an A in General English. Of course, most universities also offer enabling or bridging courses for students who have not reached the required ATAR rank or passed the prerequisite courses for a particular degree. I will speak more about uni applications shortly. One of the reasons it is difficult to predict a student's ATAR is due to the scaling and moderation or mark adjustment process. This process is quite complex. There are 3 steps: moderation, standardisation, and scaling. Firstly, a student's final school-based mark, which includes their school assessments and semester exams, is compared to their exam mark and moderated. This is important if a teacher in one school marks a lot harder or easier than a teacher in another school. If a student's school mark in a course is much higher than their raw exam mark, then this may suggest their teacher has marked them too generously and they are likely to have their mark moderated down. If the school mark is much lower than their exam mark, then possibly their teacher has marked them too hard, so their mark would be moderated upwards. This is the only step in the process that we as teachers have some control over. Our ATAR teachers engage in consensus moderation marking and professional development to ensure that their marking is fair and accurate. The second process is standardisation, where the exam average in a particular course one year is compared to those in other years, and marks are adjusted to reduce the effect of variations in the level of difficulty from one year to the next. The final process is scaling. Some ATAR subjects are statistically more difficult than others. Scaling ensures that students taking harder subjects are not unfairly penalised. SCASA does this by looking at how students perform across all their ATAR subjects and comparing this data. If students who take a certain subject, such as Maths Specialist, tend to perform very well in all of their other ATAR subjects, then Maths Specialist is considered more challenging and may be scaled up. Conversely, if students who chose, for example, Maths Applications tend to perform lower in their other ATAR subjects, then maths application may be scaled down. After the 3 marks adjustment processes, the Tertiary Institution Services Centre, or TISC, takes the best 4 adjusted scores and calculates the Tertiary Entrance Aggregate, or TEA. Every student's TEA is then ranked to assign an ATAR out of 100. As you can see, this is all quite complex, and the adjustment process depends on many factors out of the control of the school and definitely out of the control of students. In the end, the best rule of thumb is for your daughter to keep working to her best potential right up to the ATAR exams to gain the best ATAR ranking possible and leave the adjustment process to the experts. The Tertiary Institution Services Centre, TISC, manage the university preferences and offers each year. They have a comprehensive website with several videos to explain the uni application process and information for the prerequisites for various courses. We will have a speaker present to the Year 12s in Term 2 to explain this process in more detail. TISC applications open early June and early offer applications open soon after. Students will enter 6 preferences online and may be given a conditional early offer during the year. Students can accept the offer but are not obliged to take the course the following year. It may just be a backup plan in case they do not get the prerequisite ATAR for their dream course by the end of the year. The WACE and ATAR results will be released in December, and first round offers will be made just before Christmas. If your daughter decides not to accept the offer she has been offered, she may change her preferences prior to the second round of offers in January 2026. During PCT this term, the Year 12s will have presentations regarding WACE, and in Term 2, TISC will come to explain the uni applications process. They will also have presentations from Murdoch, Notre Dame, UWA and Curtin regarding undergraduate course options. Our fantastic careers team offers individual counselling if your daughter wishes to explore some options for future studies, scholarships or careers. Mrs. Lena Martin sends a fortnightly careers newsletter to the students with many interactive resources for them to access regarding careers and courses. The Sisterhood lunches held in Terms 2 and 3 provide the opportunity for Year 12 students to hear from alumni regarding their career journeys and hopefully provide some inspiration for your daughters to keep working until the finish line. I encourage your daughter to attend one or more of the Uni Open Days this term. Here, she will get a better feel for the different universities and what they have to offer. All of these resources and more are available via the Careers Hub. We encourage you and your daughter to take the time to explore these together. Please could you note the dates listed here, particularly the WACE practical exams and our college semester 2 exams in the October school holidays. Also, the Access Transition Week. All students studying ATAR courses are also expected to return to school for weeks 1 and 2 of Term 4 for exam feedback and preparation. In the next week or so, your daughter will receive a hard copy of the Year 12 study guide. You can also access this resource in school documents on sector. There is lots of great information in this document for both study, exam preparation, and also preparation for the ESTs, which the general course students will complete in Term 2, as well as other helpful information for health and wellbeing. It's important that your daughter utilises all of the information and strategies that have been shared with her over the past 2 years. Encourage her to be proactive in seeking help when she needs it. Of course, teachers should be the first port of call for any assistance she needs and with her learning or assessment strategies. A couple more important dates. In week 10 of this term, we have interim reports being released and parent-teacher-daughter interviews. We encourage you to seek and act on the feedback opportunities that these events provide. Please remember that Year 12 is a marathon, not a sprint. Encourage your daughter to have a balanced approach to the year. Some may need to be doing more studying and less socialising. Others may actually be the opposite. I want to end by stressing that your daughter will not be defined by a number. The marks on their report are just one aspect of the journey. The richness of their experience here at Santa Maria will be defined by the connections they make, the friendships they share, and the positive impact that they have on others. So I want to wish you all the very best for a wonderful year, especially for those families who will finish their time at Santa Maria at the end of 2025. If you have any questions about any of the information shared here or any other relevant matters, please contact myself or Ms. Taylor. I'll hand you back to her now.
I'm very grateful to have a wonderful, dedicated and experienced group of Year 12 homeroom teachers. And this year we welcome to the group Madison Hughes, who joins Kelly, and the Kelly homeroom have already given her a wonderful welcome, made her feel very much at home. The homeroom teachers are your first port of call because they really know your daughter. They're the ones who see them first thing in the mornings and track their progress across the day, working with me closely. Please feel free to CC them to any correspondence that you have with other teachers, just so it allows them to get a picture of what's going on, but it also allows them to have some of those key conversations in the morning or in PCT time about things that might be concerning your child or subjects that they need to work on. This year, the Year 12s are all together on the third floor, part 2 of our homerooms, which means that we have a wonderfully inclusive culture, and it also allows me to visit all the homerooms really easily, which I do every morning and also during our PCT, as I'm regularly checking in on our students. I'm looking forward to working with yourselves and our homeroom teachers this year, and I hope that you will get in contact with them whenever you need to. One of the questions parents often ask is, how can I support my daughter with their organisation? How can I make sure that they have the best success in either their ATAR or Access pathway? And one of the really important ways of getting them organised is that need to create a schedule at the beginning of their week. So on a Sunday, I send them out a weekly email, which has all the assessment dates, co-curricular activities, and major events of the week. They need to start with this and then sit down and map it out against their own commitments, such as their work commitments, their sporting, their music, their extracurricular, etc., and then go from there on how they can plan out where they're going to study, where they're going to exercise, and where they're going to have some fun. If they plan, then they will find balance and are less likely to get overwhelmed, which is our key across the year. We spoke to the whole year group yesterday about this, and our overarching theme for Year 12 is the time is now. This is it. This is where all their study techniques, all the skills that they've learned over the years, all their practice papers, their exams, assessments, all of this has prepared them for now, and it's now the time that they need to put this in. We advised them if they are on the ATAR pathway, they should be doing at least 2 to 3 hours of study a night. But this is also relevant for our students on the Access pathway, particularly in the beginning. You should see your daughter at home and doing at least an hour minimum. One of the reasons why this was particularly important for our Access students is that there is an awful lot of coursework and a lot of modules that the students have to complete. And one of the things we really want to avoid is them getting to the end of the year and not having worked consistently through those, and then not being able to complete them because they have run out of time and it's simply just been too much of a load. So particularly for Access students at this stage, they need to start planning out that coursework, looking at those dates, working through their modules, and they start to navigate how they're working with you as well. And they should be able to talk you through this and show you what they're doing. It does require discipline, but we talk to them about this. With that discipline, they'll have success. For our students completing ATAR, they need to start looking at the type of study they're doing, and the type of revision is really key. So we're moving away from that idea of just writing notes. So if you see your child at home just constantly writing notes, have a conversation with them, because we want them to start getting that deep learning that involves engaging in many different ways with their study. For example, they need to start testing themselves on a regular basis, and they can get you to do that. They need to start talking out loud about what they're learning so that they're on repeat and they're trying to embed that in their brains. Forming peer study groups works quite well for this because they can test each other and they can share the workload as they go through. And they can just do those exercises that they learn in class that constantly give repetitive recall. So at the end of the week, spending some time going over exactly what they learnt in class is really, really important as well. The assessment schedule is brutal in Year 12. We know this for our ATAR students. It is dictated to us by SCASA and we don't really have a huge amount of control over it. All we can do is help to manage it with our students, your daughters. So it's really important, again, that they plan and they get their calendars out and they map out exactly where their assessments are so that there's no surprises and they're not feeling overwhelmed. Another thing to be aware of for Year 12 assessments are the requirements for missed assessments. If they miss an assessment, they may be required to produce a medical certificate for that particular assessment. And if there's a pattern of missed assessments, then we'll need to meet. This is because of the integrity of the paper is crucial in Year 12. And also we have got to abide by a number of requirements from SCASA. But if in doubt, or if you have any questions or concerns, please get in contact with me. So recapping, ways to support your daughter include 1, getting organised and being able to map out each week and plan what it is that they're going to do. Once they've done that, starting to revise in different ways, starting to map out when all of their assessment and modules are doing, and being able to talk to you and show you this so that they feel that they are supported and also so that they can see how their year is going to go. And this will ensure their success. And again, if in doubt, ask, seek help. That's what we're here for. Some other areas of interest I'd like to talk about. The first being our favourite topic, social media. I know that we have talked about this many times together, and as we have navigated through it over the years and trying to work out the best way to help our students, your daughters, by Year 12, I feel that they really do know how to use it as a tool, and they also know the pitfalls and the fact it can be used as a distraction, etc. And I feel they've developed a responsible attitude towards social media, which is great to see. However, they still need help with their regulation. They need help with their regulation at school and with their regulation at home. So thank you so much for all the work that you do in this space. One of the things that we find really works is when our students give their phones to their parents when they're trying to study so that they can get into the flow of what they're trying to learn without any of the distractions. You know what it's like. You've got that pinging noise that interrupts your thought process, and a quick look goes from 1 minute to the next thing you know, 20 minutes of wasted time. So being able to talk to them about your home policy and how it's going to work for you as a family and how you're going to help regulate this together is a strategy that seems to work quite well. The second area is expectation management across the year, which through your experience of Year 11, you will all be experts at. And you'll have seen them come home absolutely elated by some of their results and totally excited, and at other times come home totally devastated with just no idea about why they got their result having worked so hard. In these situations, we find it's best just to ride through the emotions and to listen, to let them get it out, to suggest they go for a walk, just to give them some time to sit with it. And then when they're ready to hear, then that's the time to say, okay, so have you gone back, have you looked at your feedback? Have you written out a plan for what you're going to do differently next time based on that feedback? Often we find with our students is that they'll get an assessment with feedback and then they'll get the next assessment and it will have the same feedback on it because they haven't acted on it. Our most successful students are those who actually take that feedback and move forward and act on it in each of their assessments, putting one foot in front of the other, and this will ensure their success. Harbor policy is still the same. We try and obviously help them regulate here at school too. And when they get to the college, the mobile phones go straight into their lockers and they stay there for the day. Our Year 12s are really respectful of this, and we know a few have them in their pockets at times, but generally they are always out of sight, and the Year 12s work with us really well on this, which is brilliant. In regards to corresponding with our teachers, teachers always want to hear from you, whether that's in the form of an email or a phone call or a meeting. All of these are really welcome forms of correspondence. Often I find that sometimes a phone call is a little easier than an email, just simply because you both have a better understanding of where the other is coming from, and often that personal touch is just more rewarding. Please can I ask you, as always, to remember our staff teach all day, so it may take a little time for them to return your email or call. The next one is our uniform policy for our Year 12s, and they're looking pretty good at the moment. They're doing really well after the ball with their nails and their lashes, and actually the ball was just amazing. They had a wonderful time and they all did you very, very proud. But we will try and maintain a standard of uniform across the year, and I get as they get a bit older they want a little bit more freedom here, but the uniform at the college sets the standard, and our younger students look up to our Year 12s. The real issue I find if we're having to have conversations around uniform is that it means that we're missing out on those crucial conversations about other things, such as how they're doing in their class, how they're doing with their friends, how they're doing in general, what they need to do better. So if you're having to have conversations about uniform, you're getting off on the wrong track, and you're missing the opportunity to really do well in the other spaces. So thank you for all you do in this area. I do really appreciate working with us on this, and I know that it is not always an easy space to navigate. The last area that I just wanted to go through is our driving to school policy. We've simplified this year in reference to the new laws, Tom's Law. As a result, we no longer require the students to fill out the driving to school policy with their licence and permissions and all of those sorts of things. We understand that if the law has deemed them eligible to drive and that you as their parents have approved of them driving to school, then they're young adults that are capable of this. We go through the driving policy with them in PCT so that they understand that they can't park on the college grounds. We simply just don't have the space, and about driving responsibly. And we also talk to them about our ICSA expectations, which is that we expect them to go on the bus to their ICSA sports. So, but generally, they've done a wonderful job of this so far, and they're very respectful of these policies. If there's any policies that you ever need to look at any time, they are all available on Sector on school documents, and you can access them fairly easily. But if you have any issues, please just get in touch. The next slide draws your attention to some important dates for our Year 12s, with our next event being the Mother-Daughter Breakfast, which we hope you'll join us for on Sunday the 8th of June at Fraser's Restaurant. This is a really wonderful event which allows us to spend time together, but also to celebrate the magnificent job you've done over the years guiding and supporting your daughter, which I know at times probably hasn't been totally easy, but very rewarding. We also have the Year 12 retreat, which is in August, just before the exit weekend. And this is a time of reflection, a time of coming together, and a time of unity and inclusion. So it is well received by the students, and we're looking forward to spending that time together. And finally, when we get towards the end of the year, we have the Year 12 Farewell Day, which is a moment where they can have fun and dress up and celebrate all their achievements of the year and all the hard work that they've put in. And we are very much looking forward to that stage. Year 12 will fly by, and by October this year, your daughter will also be graduating, and you will be celebrating the end of their school experience with our valedictory celebrations. This year they will start with a formal occasion on Thursday the 23rd of October with our Mass and Awards graduation ceremony, which is held at the college and is then followed the following evening with a night of fun, dancing and celebration at the graduation celebration. We hope you'll join us for all of these events, and we look forward to celebrating the amazing achievements of your daughter finishing, but also the fabulous achievements of being a parent and guiding them through. I'm sure there'll be some very relieved parents. We look forward to seeing you at those. The next slide is just a reminder about our forms of communication. As a Year 12 parent, you are well familiar with all forms of our college communication, and we have been working hard to streamline this just to make it easier, as we know that everyone has busy lives. So all forms of formal communication from about the college, all our important dates, events, blogs, everything can easily be found through our college app. As a college, we believe strongly in the fact that academics and mental health go hand in hand. They're not separate. And we know the importance of balance and the importance of students not just feeling like they've had success academically, but also the feeling that they've enjoyed their year and the feeling that they're in a position where they're making good choices for themselves and that they have the skills to build resilience and the skills to develop their own happiness and sense of self. As the year progresses, we continue to build these skills through our PCT program on a weekly basis, which is run by myself and their homeroom teachers. We have an amazing team behind us in our health services team, which is made up of our psychologists, our nursing staff and our student services staff, as well as our deputy head Danielle Spark, who I work closely with on all student pastoral care matters. I also just wanted to draw your attention again to the Wellness Connect tile. This provides a wealth of information, and you can also access our school psychologists at any stage through this link. Down the bottom you can also see a link to our latest blog, which gives you more information on our mental wellbeing strategy. If you have any concerns or if you have any worries about your daughter and how they're travelling this year, please pick up the phone, send me an email. My door is always open and I always want to hear from you because that is our role and we just want the best for your daughter, our students. Well, that brings us to the end of our information session for tonight, and I'd just like to thank you for joining us and for all the work that you do in working with us to ensure that your daughter has a final successful year at 12 at Santa Maria College. Thank you and good night.